I think it's safe to say the early to mid 2000s belonged to Blink-182. While they definitely weren't the only popular band around, they certainly left a huge impact that might have even been a bigger impact if they hadn't broken up at their creative peak. Their breakthrough record, Enema of the State, was not only an incredibly successful and well-loved record at the time, but it's a record that has aged like fine wine. The album still has the pop-punk charm that it had in the early till very, very late 90s, we're talking 1999, and Enema of the State still hits incredibly hard and deserves to be praised by all pop-punk fans of all ages. So of course, the question has to be asked, how do you follow that up? How was Green Day supposed to follow up Dookie? Well, they did with Insomniac, and that was pretty good. How did My Chemical Romance follow up 3 Cheers Sweet Revenge? They made the fucking Black Parade, and that album is itself a masterpiece, and we can make a whole other video on that. But you know, how the fuck was Blink-182 supposed to follow up the instant classic that was Enema of the State? I mean, they managed to follow up Cheshire Cat with Dude Ranch, and then Dude Ranch with Enema of the State, and now what? So, I guess, picture this, it's 2001, you really like Blink-182, maybe you're like 15 or something, and you just found out they've got a new record coming out. Their most ambitious album at the time, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. That record still has maybe one of the greatest album titles of all time, because it still followed up what Enema of the State did, and it was still great. The reaction to the record was a little mixed compared to Enema, but the critics, well, we don't need to talk about that. And many people saw it as a cash grab, but I don't. But honestly, it is a mix of both, and the album and the band definitely shows the passion that they had with songwriting. And Mark and Tom were practically competing on who can write the best song on this damn album. So, to the band, at this time at least, this was their masterpiece. But is it really a masterpiece? Well, enough yapping from me. Let's talk about Blink-182's fourth album, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Let's go.
Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, the new this summer. Now available at
First, let's talk about the production of this album. Well, the production on this album was done by the legendary Jerry Finn, rest in peace. Jerry has been called the unofficial 4th member of Blink by Mark, and when you listen to the albums he produced for them, you can see why. He's kind of like their Rob Cavallo, and if you don't know who that is, he produced for bands like Green Day and the Goo Goo Dolls. I was going to say the Iris Dolls, but that's not the right thing. You know? He had this flow with the band that he was able to record them with. And when listening to the albums, he produced with them, you can truly understand this band and knows how to play to their strengths. The album kept the commercial-friendly sound that Enema had, which also accentuates the more aggressive moments found in the tracklist, and though Mark and Tom are still far from perfect sinners, and you wouldn't notice for the most part, from how Jerry handles their voices and hides most of all of their flaws. The production of this album was done between December of 2000 and March of 2001, and was recorded at Signature Sound in San Diego, La Barry West in Hollywood, and Cello West in Hollywood. And it reflects a band in transition. We might get to the lyric part in the actual album breakdown, but the album went from, the less seriousness of Cheshire Cat and Dude Ranch, which at that point they would have all been in their 20s, to the more slightly mature side of Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Yes, this album is named Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, which implies the word I'm not allowed to say. But this album has some mature in big brackets, songs, really. Mature to the point of where it's not like really adult, but to the point where you could still get where Blink are coming from. The band began pre-production in December of 2000 using ideas that had been developed over the road in the past year. And, the band had done this since Dude Ranch. They'd played Enema songs live like most artists do. Take Off Your Pants and Jacket was, some of the songs were played before the album came out, which is the drums were done in one take. One take, according to Travis Barker, who might not be a reliable source. But that's all about the production I can talk about. Let's talk about the actual album itself. And, how some people view it as Blink's masterpiece, I partially do, and how others don't. Anthem Part 2, the original track, and the sequel to Enema's last track, which was just called Anthem. Now this track touches on the disenchantment and blames for adults in teenage society, and how adults cause teenagers problems. Because obviously, Tom DeLonge, being 26 when this album came out, was trying to appeal to the hip and cool youngsters that were trying to listen to Blink. Like me. Ha! No one's laughing. Okay. Guess I'll just kill myself. Give Your Pants and Jacket has been called a concept record, and about adolescence and associated feelings with it, and Anthem Part 2 really emphasizes that with these. I'll just show the stuff I'm trying to show.
Everything has fallen to pieces. Earth is dying. Help me, Jesus. We need guidance. We've been misled.
The song describes in the first two things how teenagers seek help and guidance, but they're unable to find what they can in adults because adults are stupid and don't understand some teenagers, and Tom, who was writing this, thought, fuck it, we're going to look at how teenagers, we're going to try and appeal to the teenagers. And this lyric.
Kids can vote, adults elect them. Laws that rule the school and workplace. Signs that caution 16's unsafe.
In the US, people under the age of 18 cannot vote. So therefore, teenagers who have to deal with the consequences of adults voting feel that sort of pain, I guess. I'm not sure how to describe it. This line.
We really need to see this through. We never wanted to be abused. We'll never give up. It's no use if we're fucked up. You're to blame.
Illustrates the frustrations that Blink, and probably Tom, has against politics, which means it's a political record. Hell yeah, I love politics. So yeah, Anthem Part 2 is basically the beginning of the record and sets the record straight. Still with pop punk, still with some lyrics, with a little more maturity. Let's move on to the second track, Online Songs. Online Songs is the second track of Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Take a shot every time I say that. Actually don't, I changed my mind. And it's the first song on the album sung by Mark Hoppus. Now if you don't know how Blink-182 albums work, most of the time Blink would write 12 songs or songs they could evenly split, and it'd be split between Mark and Tom. So go Tom, Mark, Tom, Mark, Tom, Mark, and it would start with Tom and end with Tom, and Mark would be in the middle. And Online Songs is Mark talking about jealousy and wishing you could have another chance.
Josie, you're my source of most frustration. Forget when I don't meet expectations. Everything you wish came true. In the end, we all blamed you. Even though, as they all know, you weren't the only one. 2, 3, 4.
Now, Josie, mentioned in the first thing, is a fictitious woman Mark imagined, and first appears in Dude Ranch in the song Girlfriend. And, it kind of reflected how we felt at the time, but I guess Josie's just a recurring character. Now, this song kind of is a sequel to Girlfriend of Dude Ranch, because it kind of shows how Mark really still wants to get with Josie. Obviously, Josie's a fictitious thing, but, these lines.
Please don't remind me, put your best behind me, try to bite it flies in here, wish this would end. And I am not fine, I thought I saw you online, your screen name used to be mine, but can't we just pretend? And she said, nah, 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 nah.
Reflect that very much in this song, and I think that's the whole intent of this song. Why do you still log on if you don't love me? Because bearing in mind this was written in 2000, maybe early 2001, where MySpace, AOL, and Instant Messenger there were so many messaging boards where people had online names and you could see when people log on. So that's all I can say for Online Songs. On to the next track. First Date is the third track and is one of the singles and is sung by Tom this time and is what you would think about. It's about a first date. There's really not much to it. There is really not much to this song other than it being a first date. Now you may think, yeah, this is a really good single. What is it actually about though? Well, like I said, it's about a first date and the nervousness you get with it, especially from this line. It shows the nervousness of Tom or whoever he's trying to narrate through, and yeah, I don't have much to say about this track. It's very easy to analyse. It's very much first date, you're nervous, boom, get it done out the way. It's not the best. I might say it's maybe a hot take just because it's a single, and I'm not saying because it's a single, I'm saying it because I actually think this is one of the worst written, in again quotation marks because it's not the worst written, song off the album. And I can see why it was a single, because the label was trying to get Blink to be, successful, because it was making them so much money. But, First Date is okay. On to track 4. Track 4, Happy Holidays, you bastard. So, this track is a jokey track, and it's sung by Mark, and it's fast, and Blink-182 play it fast live. I could even show a clip now. There's literally not much to say about the song because I can't play any of it because there's so many fucks in it. Basically, this could get just the video taken down. Basically, it is about when life, gives you up and just you start panicking. You can't wrap Christmas presents and everyone's being a dick. And I'm gonna make the section as long as the song itself, 44 seconds. On to track 5. Track 5, Story of a Lonely Guy, one of my favourite songs off this album. I'm surprised they haven't played it more often, and I'm surprised it wasn't a single. The story of a lonely guy, well, the story of the song, is it's just about trying to approach a girl that you like, and how you can't do it because you're too anxious. And Tom really tries his best to convey that, and I love it. And the da-da-da, 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 da-da-da.
My book with a boring ending, a short story of a lonely guy. You fell behind.
But I'll play it over it. Those sort of make the song what it is. And I'm surprised the song wasn't a single. This song probably could have been as big as All the Small Things, just for those da-da-das. Because that's what makes it catchy, And this song actually hasn't been played live that much. We're talking like 3, 10, 12... They stopped playing it in 2004 during the Untitled tour, which is, well, strange. Because Tom's input to this song makes it emotional. There aren't much, the lyrics do go quite hard, but there's not much of a story. I could play the lyrics. I'll play some now. And that kind of conveys the story. On to track 6. Track 6, another single, The Rock Show. And this is more of the relatable side of Take Off Dancing Jacket himself. This was appealing to the Vans Warped Tour, as it literally mentions the Warped Tour.
Hanging out behind the club on the weekend, acting stupid, getting drunk with my best friends. I couldn't wait for the summer and the Warped Tour. I remember it's the first time that I saw her there.
This is about Mark Hoppus, or the narrator that Mark Hoppus is trying to pursue, falling in love with a girl over the Warped Tour, and I'm not sure whether it's a bit creepy, waiting till her parents go out of town, maybe to have some suspicious fun.
The girl at the rock show, she said what? And I told her that I didn't know. She's so cool, let's see it through her window. Everything's better when she's around. Can't wait till her parents go out of town. I fell in love with the girl at the rock show.
Well, I'm not sure really. Sometimes all you have to do in life is listen to the rock show and think, wow, this song explores the thoughts of the behaviour of a teenage punk rocker who goes to the Vans Warped Tour and subsequently falls in love with a girl there, which comes from Genius. I did not steal that, that comes from Genius, I'm quoting Genius. Lyrically, this song is pretty good. Musically, this song is pretty single-worthy, so I could see why it was a single. On to the next track. Track number 8 or 7. Track 7, Stay Together for the Kids. This song is maybe the most personal song of Take Your Pants Off Jacket, as it was about Tom and Mark's experiences with divorce. And Tom said this in an interview about the song.
It was my 18th birthday, and I come home and there's like these scratch marks all the way across the sidewalk from the front door out to the driveway. And I walk home, I was like, what the hell are all these scratch marks? And I followed them from the driveway up to the front door, opened the front door, and all the furniture's gone. Someone dragged the furniture out. And I realized that my dad moved out right at that moment. It was the 20th anniversary of my parents, and everything just, all hell broke loose on that day. Like anybody, you know, it would affect you to see your parents break up like that. I wanted to tackle that in a song.
This song kind of conveys the feeling of divorce and how, you know, your parents just want you to be happy, but they can't be happy with themselves.
Anger hurts my ears. Been running strong for 7 years. Rather than fix the problems, they never solve them. It makes no sense at all. I see them every day. We get along, so why can't they? If this is what he wants and it's what she wants, then why is there so much pain?
It's really difficult to describe how personal this track is to Blink, as, you know, as an interview from Blender magazine in 2002 from Mark Hopper says, the thing you realise as you get older is that your parents don't know what the hell they're doing, and neither will you. When you get to be a parent, you just have to understand that people are human and they make mistakes. The song's unreleased original music video features a wrecking ball as a sort of like metaphor for divorce, but was taken out after the 9/11 attacks. This song is very much about divorce, and I think these lyrics sum it up best. On to track 8. Track 8, Roller Coaster, is inspired by a real-life roller coaster relationship that Mark was in. And wow, Mark really is a thing for asking women out, even though he was in a relationship at the time. I'm not making any accusations, I swear. This song very much still adds into the adolescence point of it being a concept record. Just trying to ask someone what their favourite roller coaster is so you can take them on them and woo them over. It's great. It shows teenage relationships? I don't know really. But I think some of these lyrics, you know, convey it pretty well.
Breathing deeply, walking backwards, finding strength to call and ask her. Roller coaster, favorite ride. Let me kiss you one last time.
Chorus and I guess the first verse reflect that. On to track 9. Track number 9, Reckless Abandon. This song is about doing reckless actions and not taking consequences for it. And it was written by Tom, and it's quite a good track. I might take off this. Actually, I rank it at the end. You'll see at the end. I like this song off the record. I like it very much. It's a very good record, very good song, not record, very good song even.
Everybody would waste it all to have a summer that they could call memory that's full of fun. Fucked up when it's all done. On and on, reckless abandon. Something's wrong. This is gonna shock them. Nothing to hold on to. We'll use this song to lead you on and break the truth with more bad news. He left a scar size extra large.
And it very much shows the maturity that Tom DeLonge was having during the making of Take Your Pants Off Jacket. I mean, this is the same guy who did all the small things and made some strange jokes on stage during the Mark, Tom and Travis show. So for that man to write Reckless Abandon is crazy. So yeah, and fun fact about the intro of that song, Mark Hoppus revealed in a tweet that the talking heard in the background of the intro is him and Jerry Finn talking about heavy metal bands, where they didn't realise that the door to the recording area is open. So that's a bit of fun fact to you. On to track 10. Track 10, Every Time I Look For You, is written by Mark and was featured in American Pie 2, and the song taps into the aspect of teenage love, an aspect that Blink has done in the songs in this album, like First Date and The Rock Show, I guess, and I guess Roller Coaster as well. Along with Stay Together for the Kids, this song features both Mark and Tom on vocals, which is a mainstay in later Blink songs. This song I can't really analyse very well because I can't think of anything, so here are some lyrics that kind of reflect the theme of the song.
Distance, bridge the border, beg forgiveness, round the corner. Every time I look for you, the sun goes down, and I stumble when your something runs aground. I left another message, you are never around. But every time I look for you, the sun goes down once more. Will the last one out, please shut the door.
On to track 11. Track 11, Give Me One Good Reason, is a song about, trying not to be another casualty of society, and how Tom believes punk rock is about hating everyone, and he proceeds to judge everyone around him. Hence, this lyric in verse 1.
I like the ones you say they listen to the punk rock. I like the kids who fight against how they were brought up. They hate the trends and think it's thought to care. It's cool when they piss people off, it's what they wear, oh yeah!
The rest of the song really shows the hate, as in verse 2, Tom says this. And in verse 3, he says this, which just calls out heavy metalers.
The jocks and press, they could be fucking scumbags. Heavy metalers with their awful pussy hair bands. Counting seconds until we can get away. Ditching school almost every single day, oh yeah!
So give me one good reason, the chorus of this song very much reflects the hate Tom DeLonge feels. Very good song. On to track 12. Shut Up is the 12th track, and it was written by Mark about a very toxic relationship, hence the first verse. And this was probably written with one of Mark's many ex-girlfriends in his mind. The early days of Blink were notoriously wild and rowdy, and living with a young musician in a pop-punk band is going to be quite noisy in a relationship, and this song perfectly reflects toxic relationships, with all the shutting up and all the fucks and all the I've messed up stuff in this song. And this may seem like I'm trying to rush through all these songs, but there is so much lyrical stuff I could go into about any of this album. I mean, just in verse 2, this whole line says it all.
Get the fuck up, she said. Your life is meaningless, it's going nowhere. You're going nowhere. You're just a fuck up, she said. I'll live alone instead, she said. You don't care. I know I don't care.
Mark just wants to move away from this battlefield of relationship. One of the problems with him is that he doesn't care about the relationship, because it's got to the point where he doesn't really care enough about anything anymore. He's had enough. This relationship that Mark is talking about is very much the factor of a breakup. So, before we get too sad, let's move on to track 13, Please Take Me Home. The last track of Take Off Your Pants and Jacket is Please Take Me Home, and it was written by Tom. And there's not actually much about what this is about, but I assume it is about Tom either in a failing relationship or in some sort of blooming relationship, and he's just trying to get through it. I mean, the last bit of the chorus, this bit.
Why did we have to go date? It's too easy to complicate. Be strong when things fall apart.
Be strong when things fall apart.
Honest, this breaks my heart.
It's so hard.
Let's go!
Kind of reflects that. And I know it's a bit of a sad ending with this album to like end with such a short analysis of the last track, but I really can't think of anything. So on to the other stuff.
Respect this. Want to hear a song?
Now let's very quickly talk about the bonus tracks. Now I'm literally just going to go off and name the two that I won't be talking about: Fuck a Dog and When You Fucked Grandpa. And Mother's Day, because Mother's Day, if you look at the lyrics on Genius, pull them up right now, you will see how lyrically masterpiece it is. No, I'm joking. It's a joke track. They're joke tracks. But the songs I do want to talk about lyrically are, you know, Time to Break Up, What Went Wrong, Don't Tell Me It's Over. Let's start with Time to Break Up. You know, this song is off the red version taken from Pants and Jacket and is about the end of relationships, and Tom DeLonge wrote it, and that's all I'll say. I won't do any lyrical analysis on this, but it's basically, yeah, it's about the ending of a relationship. What Went Wrong is by, I believe, Tom DeLonge, and is, again, you know, I guess an underrated song of Taking Pants and Jacket, and is about a broken soul of a man who lost the woman he loved, and the melancholic vibe of the instruments complements the lyrical style perfectly. And then the other track was Don't Tell Me It's Over. Now, Don't Tell Me It's Over is, I guess, off the yellow version of Taking Pants and Jacket, and there's not much about this song, but I guess it's about the end of a relationship, I assume. But the rest of the B-sides are jokes. I keep calling the B-sides their bonus tracks, but those are just the ones that stand out to me. So, I guess that's the end of the analysis of the album. Let's go on to the rest of the video. The touring for Take Off Your Pants and Jacket started in 2001, but many of the shows had to be rescheduled from September because of the 9/11 attacks. But then in 2002 we did get the Pop Punk Disaster Tour, so that's pretty cool, I guess. I mean, it had Green Day and Blink and started the big rivalry between them. So the touring for Take Off Your Pants and Jacket kind of went between 2001 and 2002, and then the album just sort of never went into playing again until the Missionary Impossible tour. Take Off Your Pants and Jacket came out on June 12, 2001. As I said in the beginning of the video, critics were quite mixed on it. But the album, in Blink-182's discography, it could be seen as a cash grab from the label, but it wasn't. But you know, this is an interesting album, as it sees Blink coming off the cusp of a classic record and approaching another. As it stands, this album is beyond solid, has a solid set of songs, and is the album before Untitled. So this album is sometimes forgotten, but at the Missionary Impossible tour last year, they played like 6 songs from Taking Pants and Jacket, which is wild, and Mark's seemed to like it again. And since it's the 25th anniversary of the album this year, in 2026, what better time, to not look at it, and that's what I've done. So, this album definitely reflects Blink after, their smash hit Enemy of the State, and just before what I would consider a masterpiece, Untitled, which I might do another video on. But yeah, so, I mean, despite its ridiculous title, Enemy of the State was a Blink matured a lot with Adam's song, and Enemy of the State, saw that maturity and sort of went in the weird direction of it. There are some mature and some not, and then Take Off Pants and Jacket comes in and takes the maturity up to levels that we haven't seen in Blink yet. They haven't really talked about stuff like the divorce and other stuff, but we haven't actually talked about the actual musical side of it. So let's start with Tom's input. The album, starting with Anthem Part 2, really gets us in that mood for maturity. I know the lyrics in, Story of a Lonely Guy, Give Me One Good Reason, Please Take Me Home, Reckless Abandon, all show the maturity Blink had in this album. And Tom's lyrics aren't anything to scoff at, they're really good. Mark does have some better lyrics though, Roller Coaster, Every Time I Look for You, online songs, very much are relatable in the 2000s about breakups and, divorces and exes and teenage rebellion. And it all ties into that theme of adolescent, the concept of adolescence, which is explored in this album. The only real low points to the album for me was First Date, really. The rest of it's fine. I just don't like First Date. I mean, it's not okay. I do like it. I like every single song on this record. There are basically no skips for me. But First Date is the one I could skip if I was in a bad mood. This song is meh. I mean, as a single, it's really good, but as a song, it's meh. It doesn't really add to Take Off Your Pants and Jacket that much. You could put on Enema, and it would be the same thing, I guess. You know, the sound of this album was the fact that Mark loved Enema and wanted to do it again, while Tom wanted a dirtier guitar-driven rock sound, and as a result, the album does sound a bit scattered, occasionally with Mark trying to go back to Enema sounding, and Tom trying to stay away from Enema sounding like as much as humanly possible. But, you know, this album sort of gives a glimpse to the hopes of what Self-Titled is, where they both just sort of came together and went, fuck it, you know, we have to make a more mature album. And, you know, Tom's guitar playing continues to evolve as he delivers powerful and even interesting riffs of Story of a Lonely Guy, and his vocals are pretty good on this record, even though his live vocals aren't very good. And although his voice can be a bit grating at sometimes, particularly on Give You One Good Reason, he still stands out from the other bands at the time who were taking influence from his style. Mark still delivers solid bass lines and sings with the passion that the song needs. Just like any other Blink record, Mark and Tom and Travis's drums complement each other perfectly. And you know, Travis, speaking of Travis, he's really good in his drums on this album. And you know, it's a really interesting album. Now as for the fun part, we're going to rank it. The best songs, in my opinion, are Online Songs, Reckless Abandon, Every Time I Look For You, not First Date. Is anything but First Date. The best song off the record is definitely Story of a Lonely Guy. If that had just been a single instead of First Date, we would have been perfect. The album would have been perfect in my mind. And then the worst songs of the record are, you know, I was going to say Give Me One Good Reason for all the hate and First Date. Other than that, the record is simply perfect. Where would I rank it in Blink's discography? Well, I put Untitled as 1 because that is my favourite Blink-182 album and I'm very biased. I would say it goes in 3, with Neighbourhoods following above it. So in my opinion, it goes Untitled, Neighbourhoods, and then Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, and then Enema in 4th. So it's above Enema for me, which is pretty good for the album that had to follow that. And the best lyric from the album is probably in... It's in Stay Together for the Kids, and it's just this one. And the worst the worst lyric is from my least favourite track, First Day. I dislike First Day, but we're not going to go on a rant about that, and it's this lyric. So that was my analysis / review / a take on Take Off Your Pants and Jacket 25 years later, I guess. Thank you for watching. I'm sorry this is a long video. I know these aren't Sonic videos, but I like making them. So thank you for watching, and I love you, all of you, even if you're just a normal person watching this video. I love you for watching this video. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.